A very brief recent war between India and Pakistan. There was a terrorist attack in the Pahalgam, Indian administered Kashmir, giving a knee-jerk reaction. Indian authorities and government blamed Pakistan. Pakistan responded, go for an international neutral inquiry because we are not responsible. But India did not accept this very reasonable offer of Pakistan. Why? Because they had decided earlier that they will attack Pakistan. Maybe they themselves have managed all that. Somehow they attacked Pakistan. Now Pakistan had no option left but to respond, and Pakistan did respond in a befitting manner. Pakistan destroyed their S-400 air defense system. Pakistan destroyed their 3 or 4 highly advanced, very expensive Rafale fighter jets and few others as well. Approximately one unmanned and 6 with the pilots, 7 of the Indian Air Force vehicles were destroyed. 4 fighter jets were destroyed. Indians were proud of their Rafale fleet comprising 35 fighter jets. Now, after all that, once Pakistan responded, they were refusing earlier. Indian government, Indian media never accepted that they have undergone any sort of loss. Rather, they kept claiming that they have defeated Pakistan, that the purpose of Operation Sindoor operation was achieved by the India, which was total baseless. That is why now the real news are coming. There in the Singapore, Indian Army chief had to make a confession that several of their fighter jets were destroyed, and he responded the question, said that it's not a right question how many of the Indian fighter jets have destroyed. The right question is why it were destroyed. Okay, this is your pertinent to you. That is pertinent to you why your fighter jets were destroyed. Because you need to know what are the areas of improvement in your defense system. That is why you need it, why these were destroyed. And also the defense attaché of India there in the Jakarta has also made a confession about the loss of Rafale and other jets. Now, listening all that, you will be thinking that Pakistan will be having a greater defense budget as compared to India, and you will be knowing that the salaries of defense personnel will be very high of Pakistan as compared to that of India. So let me tell you about India first, and it is like they have 80 $86 billion of defense budget. $86 billion of defense budget. But after this defeat, they will either double it or at least they will raise it by 50%. Now, if this be the case, what is the defense budget of Pakistan? It is barely 10% off. It is barely 10% of India's defense budget, and it is $80.2 billion. So that is not more than 10% of Indian defense budget. Now coming to the salary of Indian defense personnels, and obviously we cannot know the salary of every individual But the salary of Indian Army Chief, let me tell you, and before telling the salary of Indian Army Chief, let me share it with you, and you would be knowing it that the Army Chief, four-star General Anil Chauhan, like their predecessors, is having all sort of facilities, all sort of facilities, all sort of facilities. And then after that, 250,000 rupees, Indian rupees, 250,000 Indian rupees is what we get. Now, Indian rupee is very strong as compared to the Pakistani rupee. And keeping in view all that, once we convert the 250,000 Indian rupees into the US dollars, it becomes approximately 3,000 US dollars. So Indian Army Chief Anil Chauhan is getting the 3,000 US dollars apart from all the facilities. And now coming to the Pakistan Army Chief. Pakistan Army Chief prior to the war was four-star general. Now he is a five-star general. And Sayyid Asim Munir, Hafiz Sayyid Asim Munir, a five-star general who is heading the Pak Army, he too is getting all the facilities like Indian Army Chief, like the Army Chiefs of other countries. All the facilities and cash of 250,000, but these 250,000 are not the Indian rupees but the Pak rupees. Pak rupee is much weaker as compared to the Indian rupee, and once we convert it into the US dollars, it makes 900, approximately 900 US dollars. So it is approximately one third of what the Indian Army Chief is getting. But Alhamdulillah, as for the performance is concerned, despite the fact that we are having barely 10% of the defense budget and one third of the salary of Army Chief, and despite all that, Alhamdulillah, our defense forces have performed very well indeed. The nation, the Pakistani nation is proud of the Pakistan armed forces. Not only the Pakistani nation, like all the Pakistan's allies, like all the Muslim countries, like China, like Azerbaijan, like Turkey, all the Muslim countries are proud of the Pakistan armed forces, and they support us morally, they support us diplomatically. We the Pakistanis are proud of our armed forces.